Hey everybody, Doug Mystic Eye here. Doug Mystic Eye on Board Game Geek. You can just call me Doug though. I'm going to do a little quick play of what's he building in there. It's a game that was Kickstarted a while ago. I did not get the Kickstarter version, I got the retail version, but I haven't seen much on this other than a couple of little quick things that, I don't know, they're not the typical awesome playthroughs that you might see from somebody. So I thought I'd just do a few turns, show you what the game is like. Here's the game board. That's set up right now for 3 players, and basically I got red, blue, and yellow, or red, yellow, blue player. I'm going to go over, but to do that I'll probably have to take the camera off the stand. But I just want to show you what the round looks like, what the game plays like. But basically, in this game, you are a mad scientist, and you're trying to build an invention. And now, just to give you an idea, there's a couple things that you have to do during the game. Ultimately, you're going to build or create things that the other players will have to buy, and I'll show you how that works. But ultimately, what you're trying to do is go for a destructive, evil genius type mad scientist thing, like this beast gigantifier. So if you were one of the mad scientists, you might be trying to build this. You see, you can build it in 3 stages, and if you look here, it gives you victory points at the end of the game, and some money, or it costs money, and some stuff. It costs lots of stuff. So you got inventions that you have to add to it. You got resources that you need to add to it, money, and workforce. That cog is manual labor. So then the other thing that you have to do, which is a component of this, and these 2 boards go together, is you need an escape plan, an escape vehicle. So like in this case, you have a hovercraft, right? And you have to build that in the same fashion, but you notice it's also got quite a bit of experience points, especially if you can get down to the 3rd level. And this makes up your kind of player screen. You slip the 2 together, and you have your player screen there. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, so basically through the course of the game, you're going to be trying to build these devices. First off, you got to build your insano gas, or I'm sorry, that's your thing that you have to destroy people with, and then your getaway vehicle. And the better you build those, the more points you make at the end of the game, and you can lose by managing not to build one of them at all, which is not going to be helpful. But there's quite a few turns in the game, and it is worker placement at its heart. Well, actually not at its heart. So the reason I didn't kickstart it actually is because it looked like just a really basic, I don't know, worker placement game. It just didn't thrill me. I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. But anyway, it just didn't, like I said, didn't do it for me. So I didn't buy it then. But then I said, I'll try it. I'll pick it up. I got it in a trade actually, retail for the retail box. It's actually a pretty cool game. It is a worker placement game, but it does have a theme, and the theme does play into the game to some level. So, but looking at a turnaround, just going over quickly a turnaround, it's pretty straightforward. If you've played a worker placement game, you will have seen things like this before. Let me make it so lights on it. So your first turn, the first thing you're going to do is move the turn marker. That's pretty obvious. Then you're going to place your doctor, your evil doctor, and his henchman. And again, like typical worker placement game, you're going to do this 1 at a time per player until it's done. Then you're going to resolve all those. Then if you can, you're going to get to invent something, or pay rent if you end up building up a place that warrants paying rent. And then you get to replace your workshops and black market cards, and you do that all over again. So we're going to be following that turn order. But first, I'd like to get you in closer to the board and show you what the inventions look like and how you create them. And things like that. So I'll be right back. So these are the resources in the game. There's a big bunch of stacks of cards. You have everything. You have raw copper, raw glass, raw leather, raw cloth, and raw steel and raw wood. And you can get those into refined materials. And I'll show you how you do that. You get refined copper, refined glass, blah blah blah, etc., etc. And then of course there's a big bowl of money. Those are going to be the resources in the game. Now. I'm going to go over and show you the inventions as well. So across the top of the board there are a series of inventions. These inventions, like the one you're looking at right here, oh gosh, how do you even pronounce that? The variegative Proselytizer. Hey, I think I got that. You can see that there's a gray card. Now, I'm going to step over and show you something real quick. If you take this first card here put that in front of the camera for you. Let's get it to focus a little bit. This first card, well, it's not probably too close, so let's zoom. Anyway, this first card here, there you go, is the main invention card. If you're the first one to invent that, then other players, see that sell for 5 gold? Other players have to buy it from you if you're the first person to invent that. And there's enough cards for each player in the game to have one. Or, you know, I guess you could have more than one, but I don't see, based on the cards, why you would do that. And each of these is the same. There's different resources, of course, things that you need to create the item. Everything, you see raw leather, raw glass, raw copper. That one there is duct tape, I believe. And yeah, is that duct tape? I think it is. Or it's refined, maybe it's refined something. Let me see. Nope, duct tape. That is duct tape, which is yet another invention. And the money cost to create that invention right there. And then every time someone else needs to buy it, they have to pay 5 for it. So you see there's a bunch of those on the board there. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7, 8 adventures if you include the duct tape. Then there's also 4 special inventions that are just one-time cards, and when you buy them and create them, then they come out of the game and another one replaces it. I'll show you those next. Okay, here's one of them, the sleeping potion bomb. You can see if you can invent that. Now, it's not something you can sell to other players, but you can see that once per turn, you may move an opponent's henchman from a spot gaining +2 ml, we'll deal with that later, to another spot that gains -1. So yeah, that's a manual labor. ML is manual labor. Anyway, you'll see how that works. So basically you can put, or actually I think that's a +1, right? Yeah. Anyway, you can see what that looks like on the board when I explain the board actions. But that basically puts their workers to sleep, their manual labor to sleep. And that's just an example. There's also several others. There's the waterproof gunpowder right there. You can see that one. Then there's the cloaking. Where we go? The concealing cloak. Yeah, we're getting a little out of range there. I gotta tilt the camera up a little for you. The concealing cloak. The sharkification. And if you come over here, there's also, that's just the 4 that are up right now. And those will change over the course of the game. So, now why don't we go and look at the main actions, well, the first actions you can do on the board. So these are the workshops that are currently available. You can see there's a wood shop, a tannery, and a weaver. Now, how that works is you look at the top spot there where it says first, second, and third. So the first person to play there can play either their doctor or their henchman. I'm going to zoom in on one of these for you so you can see what one more specifically does. We'll look at this wood shop up close. So if you look at the wood shop here, you can see that you got the first spot there. The orange means you can play your doctor there. The gray means you can play your henchman. So on the first slot you can play your henchman. There's 2 things that you look at when you play them. Now, obviously, first we're going to place them all before we resolve them. But let's say we've already done our placement. I'll just place an example. Let's say we got our doctor here in red, a yellow henchman there. Okay, just to give you an example. So, being that the doctor is placed first, by the way, that doctor piece is kind of neat. It's this big, crazy hairdo. You'll look on the right-hand side where it says doctors, and you're going to see that in that space at the wood shop, you're going to get 3 raw wood, okay? And on the right-hand side, you're going to get 2 raw wood. Now, you can also go down, if you go down to the second part on the bottom, you can also see that you can do a couple other actions. You can get 2 raw wood and a refined wood, or as a doctor, you can get yeah, you can do a similar thing for the doctor, but I got to look at that because I think the doctor actually gets a bonus of 1 or 2 more, depending on which he does. So anyway, the doctor gets to take the first action. He takes his resources. Then the other two spots can only be filled by henchmen, so you can't get the better part of those resources. You have to take the henchman part. So that means if you're first to take the action, you're in better shape. And those three workshops are currently in the game, but there will be others that allow you to get the other resources. There's also a black market, which I'll show you next. That's another part of the action spot. And then, if you look right above, there's the turn track. So that's just the turn track that you have there. But anyway, that's going to be how one of the actions works. That's where one of the first placement spots for getting resources. And again, I showed you all those resource cards before. So we're going to look at the black market. Quick correction, I just realized I stated how this card works wrong. So the top portion is getting raw resources. The bottom portion of that card is trading in raw resources to get a refined resource. So if you have a henchman in that space, you're going to go on the left-hand side. That's going to give you, you're going to trade in 2 raw resources for a refined resource. If you're in the right-hand space with that means your doctor's there, you're going to trade in 2 raw resources to get one refined resource. And you think, well, that's not any better, but the difference is the doctor can do it twice. So he could turn in 4 raw wood pieces to get 2 refined wood pieces instead of just a 2-for-1 trade, making the action more efficient. Okay, before we move on to the black market cards, I want to point out these 2 cards that allow you to get some additional resources. The starting player token, which is a white token, can be got if you take the 8 space there. The 7 space is for just getting some additional coin in your kitty. So, and basically I think the +3 is only used in a 5 to 6 player game. So, you can get +5 gold there, or you can get 2 gold on the second one and the first player marker. So, then now we're going to go on to the black market cards. Okay, black market cards, or I guess, what was it, the 9, 10, 11, and 12 action spaces, allow you to trade resources for other resources. For example, I'm going to get the book out because it's easier to reference to it, because I don't have all of the iconography quite memorized yet. The first symbol you see there with the split resource is any one raw resource for, and then the second one again is for another of any one raw resource. There's also circles, which and also ones that have splits of 4 that say any 2 raw resources. So, for example, let's just look at the first one there, the black market exchange. With that one, you can trade any 2 raw resources in for any 1 raw resource of your choice. Now, none of these have this at the time, but there's also ones that have circles and instead of squares, and those represent refined resources. So, for instance, you could trade, I don't have an example for you because I got the deck shuffled already, but you could trade in, and some of them cost you money as well, but you can trade in, if it's circles, you can trade in raw resources. Pretty good. Anyway, going down to the ones right beneath that, if you look at these ones, see those actually cost you a gold, or a coin, not gold, and a resource to trade in for any 1 resource. So those are those slots. Now we get to the more interesting ones. Now those take a little bit more explanation. That's going to be the actions 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, which make up the rest of the actions for the game. So let's go to that. So this first track here, number 13, is Genius at Work, or GA resource. And what you're going to do is place your doc there. It's got to be your doctor. It can't be a henchman. So giving you an example there, again using the red doctor, sorry I kicked the stand. If I place on this first spot, it means my doctor got up earlier, and he's going to get to place one of his cubes up 3 on the GA track. Now GA is a resource which allows you to build inventions, and so for example, let's see if one of these has GA actually on it. I think it's this one. Yeah. So for example, this invention has, back up here, as you can see, has a GA of 5. So if you have a GA of 5, then you have enough GA resources to manufacture that. The combustion combustion engine. And what you would do is you take your cube, and you would, so for instance, if I place there first, I'm the first one now. The X means that the X right below that means any number of other doctors can place on that one. There is no limit to the amount of doctors that can place there. But the difference is that the one that gets up earlier and gets in there first gets 3 GA points. So in this case, I would take my marker and put it on the 3. And if, let's say, the yellow one came in behind me, he would just get to place 2, or go up 2. Now, that increases. So if I go back there again, I can get up to, I get another 3 for going to the first one and get to 6, yada, yada, yada. And basically, that's another spendable resource that you have to manufacture. If you're that ding, that's a video that I'm rendering for something else, my zombie side prison outbreak playthrough. So while I'm taping this, I'm rendering another video. Anyway, if you look at that, you can then use those points to create inventions. So now we're going to go on to the manual labor track. Okay, the manual labor track works similarly, where let's say I take my red doctor here. Now the difference is, you notice you don't have to place doctors there, or you don't place doctors there, rather you place your henchmen, and the henchmen can basically perform manual labor, or ML. So again, if I take my red henchman and I'm the first player, I'm going to get +2 manual labor. If I take second and I place it there, now you notice it says 5 to 6 players. There's first, second, and X. So if I was only playing a 3-player game, I just place on the X. So you get 2 or 1. Very simple. If there are 5 players, you have a second player spot that gives you another +2 points. But just 3 players, I'm going to place on the 1. And I'm going to do the same thing. So the red one's going to get 2 points. He's going to go up to 2 on the manual labor track, and the yellow one, he'll just get 1 and be on the track right there. Now I do have the blue player, but apparently he's not doing anything. So that's how that works. Now I'll talk to you briefly about how you use those points. I know as I said, you use them for inventions and things like that. A lot of things cost ML, or manual labor, and a lot of things cost money and genius at work. So we'll show you how that goes. So going back to the escape vehicle that you would need to make, say this hovercraft, if you see there the cog wheel, that's the amount of GA, or I'm sorry, the amount of manual labor that's required that's the cog, the darker one. The first one is the genius at work, the GA. So for instance, if I'm going to build this first stage of this track, I need a raw resource of, actually an invention of combustion engine. I need a bunch of resources, refined and raw resources, and I also need 3 genius at work points to spend, and 9 manual labor points. So, and you do spend them. You go back down, you have to beef it back up, etc., etc. But the game lasts 15 turns, so you get plenty of time to do that. So that's how that works. Now I'm going to go on to the last bit of the worker track, which is space 15, 16, and 17, and talk to you about how those work. Now the first track you see there is the social track. That's track 15, and kind of like the other tracks you have, and you have enough cubes to track all of these. You have 5, so there's 3 for these like the social, security, and exotic pet track, and 2 for the genius at work and the manual labor track. But it kind of works similarly. So let's say I'm the now you can see it's orange, meaning that you can only place a doctor there. And basically in the social track, it means your evil genius doctor is going to go learn some social skills so that he can blend into society more while creating his diabolical plan to destroy the world and get away with it, or commit some more heinous crimes. So if I were to take my doctor and place him here on the first one, now you notice the other one says 4 to 6 players, so in a 3-player game, only 1 person can place there. Now, the difference is that if I already have my cube there, and I place there, and I'm just going to move it, I'm going to earn that one. It's going to cost me 2 gold, as you can see there. I'm going to push it up to here, so basically I get this one first. I do that. Okay, I got 2 gold, and I have taken my manners tutor, which means I know how to act in public. That's important, isn't it? Now, if I go there again, I can go here. I don't have to go back here. I can go there, spend another 2 gold, and take piano lessons. I'll just move my guy up to that track. I don't have to go back ever. And you can see that the victory points, the shields, the victory points for the end of the game get larger as you go along the track. So the third one is something a little different. You got to pay a big number, 10, but you got to start paying. So in turn 5, you start paying rent. Okay, if you are able to take the real estate thing, you own your own property and you don't have to pay the rent. So that helps you too. You notice that there's these other tracks like on the security fences that you can only take if you've reached the estate social level, so the real estate social level, like that. So if I don't own my own real estate, I can't put up my security fences, for example. If you can see, yeah, you can see that track. And again, if I can keep going. I can pay another 2 and learn to do ballroom dancing. Pay another 5, if you can still see that, and yeah, and pay and throw a party. And then the last one, I could pay 10 and get a proper engagement and find a wife, so I fit into society well. And all of these kind of work the same. They're thematically just there to, like, for instance, there's no no specific bonus for me having no specific bonus for me having the night watch. But if I do finish the track, I do get a bonus. I don't know if you can see that. I'll zoom in there. Let's see. Yeah, it's right there for the security thing. If I am able, let me let it focus real quick. Come on, baby, focus. Okay, it's not going to do that. There we go. See, I get a plus 2 GAW, plus 2 manual labor if I finish this track. So it gives me a bump in those 2 automatically just for finishing the track. Plus, I would get the experience points. 17. That's for bribing Scotland Yard. 17 or not experience points, victory points for bribing Scotland Yard. You can see also that the other track, the track beneath it, which I haven't shown you, does the same thing. It basically, I know it's not focusing in there, but it will in a minute if I let it sit for a second. Theoretically. Okay, let me pull it back. There we go. For the player who finishes this track, you get an additional plus 5 experience or victory points. Now, the last track down here, oh, you can see this last track here, which I'll back out and let you see in more detail. That's the exotic pets track. So the first thing you build there, you spend 2 gold and you get giant tarantulas. The second thing is ostriches. Now, you again have to have real estate. You have to be on the real estate track already, or own the real estate to get the ostriches, and then continue on. And of course, you get crocodiles, Komodo dragons, and then rhinoceros, and you get the track bonus when you complete that. So basically, those are all the actions in the game. Game plays out over 15 rounds, and I'm going to play just a couple of sample turns for you, just to let you see how the game works. But I'm going to do that in a second video, just so you can. This is just a kind of a rules primer for you, and then we'll move on to a more a little playthrough. I'm not going to play the whole game, so I'll just tell you that right now. But I will show you the red player's stuff. He's got to back this up some here, guys. There we go. He's got a dirigible that he's going to build to escape from, and he's trying to build the pheromonic stupefier. Guess it makes you stupid, or more like a pig or something. Okay, then you got the yellow player's got to make a speedboat to get away. Not just any normal speedboat, I'm sure it's really cool. And the IQ reducing idiotifier. Yeah, so we got 2 things that make you brutish and stupid. And then the last one for our blue player is he's got to build a submarine. And by the way, not all things are created equal. Well, anyway, they do require different resources. That way the players don't know exactly what resources they're going for. These are hidden behind the screen. He's got Insano gas that he has to make as his big whopping master plan, and then of course escape on the submarine. So those are going to be our 3 players, red, yellow, and blue. And so when next we come together for the video, I will play a couple of turns and show you. And I'm not going to say I'm going to play them well, but I will play a couple of turns and show you how this works. So that said, I'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoyed this rules primer for the game. What's he building? What's he building in there? The mad scientist game of building mass destructive stuff. There was another game that was like this. I'm trying to remember the name of it. a little different. Still kind of worker placement, card driven, where you have henchmen and you're an evil. Oh, I don't know if it's evil genius or was that the computer game? Not sure, but this one's pretty good. Anyway, it is really kind of basic when you look at it. Very basic worker placement, resources, resource management, Euro style without a kind of a Euro feel. But that should help you understand if you would like to play a game like this. And then we'll play a couple rounds next time and you'll get a good feel for it. So thanks and take care.